Hey everybody, it's Jenny, and I am going to share with you how I decorated my January 2018 monthly view. As you can see, I've done a little bit of Frankenplannering already. I have the Everyday Essentials on the left right there and the Modern Simple on the right. Now, I love this divider with its minty goodness and the silver foil. Now, one of the things that I'm going to do is this is going to be predominantly stamping. I am taking the stamps as they appear on the sheet and transferring them to the stamp block. This is a stamp set from Sweet Stamp Shop, and it is just a bunch of positive, encouraging words. And I decided what better of a place to get 2018 off to the right start than by, in my monthly view, putting in all kinds of fantastic ideas of how you could be. So if you were ever feeling discouraged or anxious or any of those things, you could go back and you could look and just feel uplifted and positive and that type of thing. Now it kind of ties into, for me, doing one little word in 2018. If you're not familiar with if you're not familiar with 2018, what am I talking about? If you're not familiar with one little word, it's a concept that Allie Edwards came up with probably 10 years ago. I've done it off and on for the last few years. However, it's really important for me to be authentic about it. Now, more on that in a minute. You can see I have all of the things on the block, and I'm inking it up with my VersaFine ink. Of course I'm using VersaFine. It's giving me the best impression. It's going to set me up for the most success, and I'm just finding out exactly where to place it. Now I'm giving even firm pressure throughout the block. I'm not squishing it. I'm just giving it nice solid pressure. Now I'm going to do the exact same thing with this 4x6 stamp set, and instead I'll be leaving off the 2-sentence part. There's like a question with 2 sentences. I'm leaving that off, just as I did with the 3x4 stamp set. There was a 1-sentence that I'm also leaving off, and you'll see me use those in a little bit. So I'm just transferring the words to the block, and then we'll do some more stamping and really get to the meat of the decorating. However, back to one little word. So it's supposed to sort of inspire you and sort of guide you throughout the year. I've done it off and on. However, I am not a believer in doing it if it feels forced. And there has been a few years where I've chosen a word that I really wanted to focus on, and it really just felt forced. Last year in 2017, for the first time, I had a word that presented itself to me, and I really now at the end of 2017 feel like it was really self-fulfilling and really meaningful. And my 2017 word was flourish, and I really felt like that's exactly what I did in 2017. And so for me, that word kept just presenting itself to me over and over and over again, and it really just was wonderful at the end of the year. But anyway, so this idea for January is kind of the same thing in that these are all kinds of words that you could be, they could be words that you chose for your one little word or whatever, but it's also just really positive, uplifting affirmations, and for me, I love that. It always just makes me feel so charged, and I'm really, really excited to have this at the very beginning of the year. So I'm just placing all of those words on the block. It's not entirely important that they be exactly how they are. It's just a really rough guideline for me. In fact, like one of the ones be in a circle with some sort of little lines pointing to it, just kind of do that thing where I tilt it a little bit to make it a little bit more interesting. So I'm just trying to get the overall idea because it's helpful and it's easy to do. Now you can see I've got them all on that stamping block. I'm just evening up a couple of more, and then I will be ready to sort of really get down to it. I'm pulling out the second half, which is, like I said already, my Modern Simple, and just figuring out how I'm going to align this particular bunch to this page. So you can see there's just some different ways I could go, and it takes a second to kind of think about it a little bit and figure out, okay, how am I going to get all of these to fit nicely on the page? It's important to be a little bit thoughtful beforehand. I don't try to go overboard in terms of pre-thinking, but I do want to set myself up for success. Inking it up with my VersaFine and making sure it has a nice good solid coating, however not putting on too much ink. If you put too much ink, you can find yourself just with smearing, and not only smearing but just really not a good impression. So the right amount of ink, firm pressure but not pressing too hard, and you will end up with a nice clean impression. VersaFine is going to be the easiest ink for you to use, and I cannot stress that enough for new stampers. So now you can see I've got a large portion of the right hand side done, and I love it. I'm super excited about it. It's not perfect, but if you know me, perfect is not my mantra. I'm simply wiping off some of these stamps with a baby wipe, alcohol-free, of course. I am not scrubbing them. I am simply wiping the ink off. You don't want to scrub stamps. You could tear them, and that would be a disaster, wouldn't it? So I'm keeping some of these on the block because I'm going to re-stamp them over on the left-hand side because I want to fill up the majority of the page with these encouraging words, and it's not a problem to me that most of them will be repeated. Now I'm just removing a few where it doesn't fit as well. You can see right there, oh my gosh, it turned out fantastic. So I will go ahead and use the VersaFine again to give it ample ink, but not too much. And then I'm going to go ahead and stamp it on there. Firm, solid pressure, but no rocking of the stamps. And then again, we have a nice finished product there with that. Now I do have a couple of things that I still want to add, aside from my own one little word, because I do want to add 2018's word. Now first I'm going to add this two-sentence or two-line sentence, if you will, to right up there in the upper left-hand corner, and inking it up, of course, ample ink but not too much, firm solid pressure but not rocking all throughout the stamp. And then we can get down to wiping it off, getting the ink off of there. You do not have to wipe the ink off. You can leave it on there, or you can stamp the excess on a sheet of scratch paper. I removed the ink because I'm a very messy crafter and I would end up with ink everywhere if I did not. Now I'm going to go ahead and do the one sentence over here on the left-hand side, leaving plenty of room for my 2018 one little word at the bottom and also the tiniest bit of stamping. Now I'm going to add these really cute little hand-drawn hearts with the word yes on the inside because A, yes is a positive word, and B, it will allow me to solidify that yes, these are the things that I want to be. I'm going to be able to color these in. I'm really excited about adding those hearts right here. Now I also am going to pull out some colored pencils. I'm going to be using my Prismacolor pencils again, and you've seen me use these recently. They're so fun to use. They really add a lot of rich color. And one of the things though with the Prismacolors is that you don't have to use Prismacolors. If you have Crayolas, if you have Rose Art, if you have some other brand of colored pencils, use those. You don't need fancy colored pencils. These are an artist grade. They have, you know, a really smooth surface. They're fantastic, but you don't have to use them. I'm simply coloring in a circular pattern to get really good coverage, and then I'm shading heavier around the outside of the heart just to give a little bit of dimension to the inside of the heart, a little bit lighter in the very center and darker around the outside edges. I've chosen these two colors because those are the two colors on the left hand side of the overall page, and I like them together very much. Now I'm taking the opportunity to color in some of the words that have little open spaces or, you know, little puffy lettering and those types of things, so that I can just add little pops of color there also. Now I'm only flipping my page so I don't drag my hand over any wet ink that might still be there. I want to make sure that I don't have any smearage, so I'm just flipping the page around so that my hand comes in contact with as little ink as possible. So see, now it's just turning out so cute, and it's just little pops of color. It's not perfect, but it's just really fun. So now I'm just going to finish up with the coloring and then lastly add my word with my Tombow dual brush markers, which is intent. Take it for whichever usage you prefer. And then that's it for me. Thanks so much for stopping by. I really do appreciate you. If you have any questions, leave it in the comment box below, and I will do my very best to get back to you. Thank you so much, and make it a great day.